When the world gets weird and the bills get thick, you call on Clint and you feature Dick. One talks numbers, the other talks slick. Two dads, one mic, yeah, this could stick. Clint's crunching figures straight to the point. Dick's just here to laugh in the joint. It's the Clinterific Show. Featuring Dick. Dick's quick with a joke. Clint's got the math. Together they'll balance your checkbook and your laugh. They'll talk finance, fun, and fatherly fails with liquidity dreams and 401k tales. So grab your coffee, join us a ticket, the Clinterific Show, featuring Dick.
And we're back.
Yo, yo, yo.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Clinterific Show.
Are we in episode 30 now?
We are on episode 31, actually.
Oh.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Wow. Time flies.
It really does. It really does.
Can you believe we started this all those years ago?
All those months ago?
and we're only to episode 30 now?
Hey, we got 2 more subscribers.
Yeah, my dad actually subscribed.
Nice. I was pretty jazzed.
Not sure.
Yeah.
Not sure how he found out about it.
Yeah. Do I need to start censoring my my discussions now?
No.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you do another push-up video yet, though, since we got more.
Yeah. So
what's up with that?
So there is a reason why that did not happen. So we
can't wait to hear this.
Been dealing with a significant amount of jumping through a lot of hoops for Lincoln, who started school this week, and we kind of had some issues with the state of Arkansas. They do this scholarship program called the Learns Act, where basically if you have a kid that's in kindergarten or going to school in any capacity, they get a significant amount of money towards private school tuition. It basically is allowing parents to choose the school that they want to send their kids to.
So it's like a school choice program.
Exactly. Yes, it's a voucher program that the money from the government goes to the school that you choose to send your kid to, rather than it just being,
You mean the tax money?
Yes.
That they collect from you?
Exactly.
So your money?
Yeah, your money gets to be sent back to you so you can choose where to send them to school. So
that sounds terrible.
Yeah. It's a great program, but the problem is there is very strict windows when you can apply for it. Well, we had applied for a school back in October of last year, and they just told us like 2 weeks before school started that he had been accepted. Well, you cannot apply for the Learns Act money until you have a approval from a school that you're going to be able to go to school there, because they have to approve it on their end to receive the money, because the money never goes to the parents directly.
Right.
It goes into a class wallet that you can either be reimbursed from, or the money goes directly to the school.
It seems like a little bit of an extra step, like a middleman.
Yeah. It is, but the reality is they're not giving you the money back. It's just money going towards the school bill. But anyway, because it was so late, we had another school that he had already been accepted to. We just decided to go ahead and send him to that. He has uniforms that we had to get purchased and everything and find them and all this other stuff. So it was a crazy day on Friday for us getting all that dealt with. And then, Saturday, my wife decides to take a tumble off of our back porch and snap her ankle like a breadstick.
I saw that on TikTok.
Yeah. So, she has a bad left ankle. And
yeah, now it's really bad.
It's real bad right now. But she had to have surgery about 11 years ago on it for a ligament that had gotten messed up when I believe it was when she was in a car accident whenever she was about 16. But from what I understand, that was part of it, and then there was another part of it that is just it was attaching to a part of her foot incorrectly through, just genetics and the way her foot grew, something like that. So anyway, all that to be said, she's walking out in our backyard, and I'm gonna try to compile a video of the insane amount of chaos that ensued while this happened. So I'm gonna try to paint a picture for you here, because there's a lot to unpack. So we had just finished eating lunch. So it's about 11:30, maybe 11:45. My daughter decided that she wanted to go out and play. It's summer here in Northwest Arkansas. It's 96 degrees until
96% humidity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My windows have steam on them right now at 8:40 at night,
You were eating that burrito earlier.
Well, that's part of it, but that's the steam on the inside. There's also steam on the outside. So I tell her I'm going to go use the bathroom, and as soon as I get done, I will fill up her little plastic pool in the backyard so she can go play in the backyard and jump on the trampoline and whatever. Anna was intending to go finish the remaining shopping for school supplies and the rest of the stuff that we needed for Lincoln, who was going into kindergarten, and then Evelyn, she was also starting her pre-K. So we're finishing the last-minute school shopping and last little stuff that we need. Well, I go into the bathroom, and apparently as I'm going into the bathroom, Anna gets asked by Evelyn, who has the patience of, well, let's be honest, it's her mother. And it's probably, and to be perfectly honest, my genetics don't help on the patient's side either. So she asks Anna to help her fill up the pool. So Anna walks out in the backyard, and you'll see it on the video. Walks out in the backyard, and we have some neighborhood cats that are running around the neighborhood, and one of them was in our backyard, and was doing something that distracted Anna for just the splittest of a second. And she steps off of the back porch on her bad ankle. And I mean, it's maybe 6-8 inches of a drop. It's not a huge drop or anything like that. But when she stepped off, her ankle gave out, and she tried to catch herself, she should have just kept going, and she probably would have been okay. But she tried to catch herself, and the video is hard to watch because it sounds like a tree branch that had been out in the sun for 40 years snapped in half. I mean, it was loud, and you can hear a very distinctly loud pop. So she goes to the ground and just screaming. Well, I mean, I get it. That's a painful experience, I'm sure. I've never broken my ankle, but I have torn a ligament in my ankle, and so I can understand that would be painful. Well, my daughter is standing right next to her when this all happens. So Anna goes, "Go get your father. Go get your father." And this is where the chaos ensues. I'm in the bathroom with the fan on, and it has maybe been 30 seconds. My daughter, being the wonderfully helpful human being that she is, which her heart was in the right place, she comes in the house and starts screaming. Just not saying anything, just screaming. Well, my children are Watkins. They are loud.
Screaming.
That's their standard of behavior, is to just run around and scream. So I think nothing of it. Why would I? Well,
that's normal.
She goes back outside, and Anna is yelling at her, which is all on our video from our security system in our backyard. So you can see every bit of this. And she says, "Stop talking and go get your father. Go get daddy now." And Evelyn keeps trying to talk to her, and she's like, "No, stop talking. Go get daddy. Go get daddy." I think she says it like 15 times. Evelyn finally goes in the house and tells Lincoln that she needs help finding Daddy. So then they both just start screaming. Not saying my name or anything like that, just screaming. Ah! And then I think at one point they started yelling emergency. Emergency. And nothing. Which I've still got the fan on in the bathroom. I can't hear anything. And this was all over the course of about 3 or 4 minutes. So they're yelling upstairs because we have our office where I have all my computer and work and stuff like that set up. They're yelling upstairs. Right, I'm not upstairs.
Yeah.
And so Lincoln goes outside with a Band-Aid. Like one of those big patch Band-Aids. He's like, oh, here, this will help you feel better, Mommy. And she's still screaming in the backyard. At this point, our neighbors have heard, and they're trying to figure out how to get to her to help her. So my neighbor, Superman, jumps over our fence because he doesn't know there's a gate on the opposite side of our house. So he jumps over the fence right around the time that Lincoln finally comes in there and knocks on the door in the bathroom and says, Dad, I need you to come out. Mom is hurt. And I'm like, okay, I'm coming. So I'm getting up. He said, Dad, you have to come to the garage. Mom needs you to open the garage. And I'm still trying to figure out what's even going on because I'm like, why do I need to open the garage? So as I'm walking to the garage, I just about have the door to the garage open. And then I was about to go out to push the button, and somebody starts knocking on our front door. And I was like, well, is Anna hurt in the front yard? What happened? So then I walk back around to the front door, and it's the neighbors. They're like, hey, is your wife okay? And I'm like, what do you mean, is my wife okay? Because I have not really had any significant amount of information given to me at this point. I thought she may have stubbed her toe. So I turn around, and as I look out, I can see Anna laying on the ground in our backyard, still screaming at the top of her lungs. For me to come out, I get out there, and of course, it's 96 degrees outside, so she's covered in sweat.
Yeah.
And her ankle is, it's not like, a compound fracture or anything like that. It was but it was a full break on her left ankle. And so I walk out and I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, I broke my ankle. And I was like, wait, what? What happened? And, I'm still trying to process why the neighbors are in our front yard. Well, then we figure out that, she's broken her ankle, and I'm connecting the dots as to why my children were running around the living room screaming, emergency, emergency. So we get her to the front and take her to the emergency room, and 3.5 hours later she comes home and she's got her leg in a splint because apparently in the emergency room anymore they don't do a boot or a cast. They just put you in a splint until a orthopedic specialist can look it over and make sure that no significant damage was done or no surgery needs to happen.
Because he needs to validate his degree.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, and our orthopedic specialist, which she had been to the last week because she'd been having some issues with her other foot, we had the meeting with him on or the appointment with him on Tuesday for him to make sure that everything was all right, and they said that it's a break, it's a full break, goes all the way across the very bottom of her fibula. I can't remember what the bone is called. It starts with an M or something like that, but it's the very bottom. No, it's the fibula, but it's like the bottom part of the fibula, and it has a weird name. Okay, it is called the lateral malleolus. That's it. It's the big bone that sticks off your ankle on the outside. So if you're looking at your foot, like just you stand up and you're looking at the outside of your left foot, it's that big bump. It's at the bottom of that big bump is where the break is. And I'll have a picture of the the break, which you can barely see, but it is broken. And so yeah, so needless to say, our first week of school has been just a blast. To have to wheel her around with a little knee scooter because she couldn't put any weight on it for the first few days, and now they give her a boot that she's still having some issues with a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old who don't understand that just because mom has plate mail on her shin doesn't mean that if you run into it full speed that it doesn't hurt like nobody's business. Yeah. Oh my God. So yeah, it's been a fun week, which leads us into our topic of the day. Handily. So our topic for the day, which I'm having, let me see if I can get.
By the way, for those of you who see me looking distracted, I'm painting. I got a craft I'm doing. This 3D printing stuff is taking over my life, and I love it.
Yeah,
but I suck at painting.
I feel like I've noticed that a little bit.
Do you want to see my new beard comb?
I do. I know you were making a Hello Kitty one last week, so
that was for my daughter. Thank you very hard.
This
one's for me.
Was it?
It's a Viking axe.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
I don't have enough to comb, so
yeah, I can straighten my beard and then I'm ready to defend Valhalla.
You can go to it?
Probably.
Yeah.
No. None of the Valkyries would they'd all take one look at me and be like, what is this retard?
Yeah,
get him out of here.
Yeah. We're all just trying to have a good time.
I think Valhalla's full, bud. Sorry.
Yeah. So, as I was saying, our topic of the week is back to school specials.
Oh, yeah.
So these are your 5 back-to-school tips to help you have a good start to your school year at the various walks of life that you could be in going into school at this point. So, some of our listeners, I'm sure, are first-time parents sending their kids to school, going into kindergarten.
They're first graders.
Maybe they are. Some of them could be first graders. So what I did was I compiled a list of tips to help across the various groups that you're going to have. So tip number 1, we're going to start at the very beginning in kindergarten. So what you can do to help yourself have a successful financial start to your kids going to kindergarten is called establish an activity and fee cushion. So here's the strategy. Do not budget solely for physical school supplies, because I know a lot of parents do that. They think, it's, I've got the list and this is what my kid has to have. It's very easy to fall into the trap of thinking that's the only thing that you have to have, but that's not always the case.
Forget about field trips.
Exactly. So for first-time parents, the hidden financial strain comes from recurring extracurricular activities, picture days, and classroom activity fees. Those can add up very, very rapidly. So in order to do this correctly, what you do is you establish a dedicated liquidity buffer, let's say between $150 and $300 per child.
Liquidity buffer means cash.
Yes. That is earmarked exclusively for non-supply school overhead. Overhead is expenses. So treat this as a fixed operating expense rather than a ad hoc emergency to prevent minor school fees from disrupting household cash flow. There's tip number 1.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So it's never too early to start. Even if your kids are just going into kindergarten, having a financial strategy will keep you from being shocked by crazy high or whatever nominal fees that pop up during your school year. Tip number 2, elementary and middle school. Enforce the needs versus the not yet inventory rule.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your strategy. Mitigate retail markup inflation on seasonal goods by auditing existing inventory before deploying capital. Now, I realize that this is being said like I'm talking to only accountants, but what I'm saying is it's better to plan for when things are going to be on sale. So I'm going to use my son's uniforms as an example. They are typically around $20 to $30 for the polo shirts that he has to wear. But there are a few places that will do back-to-school specials where you can save 30, 40, even 50% at some of these clothing suppliers on the price of one shirt. And so that will add up very quickly because that could take your clothing bill for the school year from $150 to $200 down to $50 to $100. So what you do is you mandate a home audit, which is basically a review of your finances to isolate reusable assets. Backpacks, calculators, binders. If they can be reused, then reuse them. That's going to save you a lot of money.
Yep.
Categorize your remaining requirements into needs and not yet. And you can throw some wants in there too.
Let's say, what do you mean by not yet? Because
so
usually
needs,
you say needs and wants.
Okay, so needs are strictly mandatory curriculum items. This is we don't have a choice. He's on the football team. He has to have a brand new pair of cleats because the ones that he had from last year are so small that they're rubbing off the toes on his feet. Things like
Usually
that.
You want to keep those.
Exactly. So need is I have to have this in order to complete the things that I'm doing at school this year.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Next.
What's a not now?
Not yet are items that can be deferred until professors or teachers clarify exact syllabus requirements during week 1. So a lot of these expenses for your school year are front-loaded in the first week. So you have to buy all of these supplies in the first week to have them to start school. What you can do is if there's certain things that there may be a little bit of gray area on, you're going to say, okay, I know that I need this at some point, but it sounds like based on the curriculum and based on what the teacher has said, this is not something that's going to be necessary until later in the school year. So you can give yourself a little bit of a financial buffer and not necessarily buy that week 1 of school and spend $500 on school supplies. You can space it out a little bit and give yourself a level of a buffer so that you're not breaking the bank before school's even started. And then there's the final category, which is your wants. Trend-driven apparel or branded gear. You know, yes, your kid may want a brand new pair of Air Jordans because that's the coolest thing to do, and everybody wants their Jordans or their LeBrons.
It's not 1996 anymore, is it?
Well, in fairness, that's still a multi-billion-dollar segment of Nike's brand. So,
that's because dumb millennials like us still buy them.
I think you'd be surprised how much the Air Jordan apparel actually sells. I'll do some research on that, but it's have you ever seen that?
Sorry, go ahead.
Have you seen that movie that they did with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck?
Matt Damon.
Yes. About the Michael Jordan shoe deal.
No,
I think it's called Air. So this essentially Matt Damon plays the person who is responsible for the deal that ended up happening with Nike.
Gotcha.
So just to kind of give you the bullet points, Nike was not a big player in the shoe arena at the point when this deal was made. Adidas and Converse were kind of the big ones on the block at that point. And most of the time when they did brand deals with a sports player in any capacity,
Nike.
Well, anybody. This was industry standard. Anybody. It was a flat fee. So, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson were kind of the big guys in the 80s. They both had deals with Adidas where they got I believe it was typically around $100,000 to $150,000, depending on, for the big guys. The more popular you were, the more you got. Well, Michael Jordan, and according to the information that I've seen, his mother had a significant role in creating a new brand deal for the Nike Air Jordan line. And Nike took a pretty big gamble and put not only one of the highest fees that's ever been paid to any single player at that time, but he also got 1% royalties on any branding that Nike did that had the Jumpman logo on it. So, everybody knows the Michael Jordan logo. I believe
I had a pair of Jumpmans.
Yeah. I mean, they're called Air Jordans, but the logo, I believe, is called the Jumpman logo.
Huh, there was a model that were called Jumpmans.
Oh, were they? Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so he gets 1% of that brand because it's essentially his name in perpetuity. That is where Michael Jordan has made an enormous amount of money.
And here I thought it was the Wheaties.
Not even close. Like no, not even a little bit. How much was it? Okay. Okay. Since his deal with Nike, he has made over $2.4 billion in royalties from that deal. Just from Nike.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. He's currently, as in now, earning 250 to 300 million every year in passive royalties because of the Jordan brand global sales. 1% is what's paying him that. Oh, sorry. Sorry, it's 5%. I apologize. I didn't realize it was so yeah, that was completely unheard of at that time, but Nike made a gamble, and in fairness, it has paid off incredibly well. Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. So,
can you imagine like what if Jordan had never become a star?
Oh man.
Like, I feel like the whole world would be different.
Oh, I mean, he was such an icon
character. Yeah.
And it wasn't just from basketball. Like he was in everything.
Yeah, he was.
I very clearly remember that Michael Jordan McDonald's commercial where it was the old him versus the young him. And of course, it was an amazing commercial at the time because it was like, how in the world did they get him to do that? But I would still go buy a Big Mac just because of remembering that commercial.
There were ones with, I think they were Big Mac. They were McDonald's commercials with him and, was it Barkley, where they were playing like horse, and each shot got more and more ridiculous. Like they were throwing it off of billboards and through windows and stuff like that. Like,
oh yes.
Those were kind of funny. And at the time, like the two were very competitive. They were both on, very competitive teams that were, vying for, national championship at the time. So The round mound of rebound.
What is happening here? I apologize, everybody. My computer has just decided to stop functioning the way that it should.
Slap it.
Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. So yeah, obviously that was a little bit of a segue, but yeah. So the brand new Air Jordans or whatever, Way of Wade or Stephen Curry shoes, whatever, those are obviously going to be put in the category of wants, and those should be held off until you can safely purchase them without putting yourself into extreme amounts of debt. So number 3 is your high school transition. So now we're in the 9th grade through 12th grade, roughly. Transition to teen account financial controls. Here's your strategy. Leverage the high school years to shift financial dependency onto controlled operational autonomy before young adults face institutional credit ecosystems. So, do you want to take a crack at that one?
Score.
So what?
It's time they go out there and earn their own keep in the world.
That is a huge part of it, but it's also you're helping them understand how to build credit.
And understand I'm not paying for their shit anymore.
Yes, that's a big part of it. So as soon as they're able to start contributing to the finances, here's how you execute this. Open a fee-free teen checking account with a robust digital app tracking and parental oversight. So you start them a bank account. I would recommend doing this as early as possible, even if you don't actually put any money in it consistently, just having it as like a banking, piggy bank kind of thing. Because one of the things that a lot of people don't take into consideration is the longer you have a bank account active, the better it looks on your credit report. So if you start a bank account when they're 10, even if they never use it and they don't even have access to it, still having that card can impact their credit score and put them in a better financial position. So just keep that in mind. Allocate fixed clothing and discretionary allowance for the semester into this account. So they can put money in it and you will put a fixed amount in it for their allowance, in layman's terms. This forces them to start budgeting. They have to make sure that they track how much money they have and don't have. They are also responsible for paying for the things that they want. So if they want to go out and buy the brand new Air Jordans, they have to make sure that they have enough money to do so with the money that's in their account. That way it puts the responsibility and the pain point of that purchase on them rather than it being put solely on the parent's shoulders. So, yeah. Give the kids a little bit of control of their finances so they can start learning how to do it themselves.
Good idea.
Now, we're on to number 4, which is early to mid-college. So we're talking freshman to junior year.
Dang, really?
Yep. We're going straight through these years, just, rapid fire, quick.
That's not kind of what I meant. Well, go ahead. I'll tell you what I meant better.
Oh, okay. All right. So yes, implement semester cash flow amortization. Here's your strategy. Prevent
There you go.
Prevent liquidity cries caused by lump sum financial aid disbursements, housing deposits, or family contributions.
That's sick.
So, this is your execution. You take total flexible funds for the semester. Discretionary costs, groceries, utilities outside of tuition. and divide strictly by the number of active weeks and enforce a rigid weekly spending gap. So, for example, if you have $1,600 in your flexible spending pool across a 16-week semester, that translates to a strictly $100 weekly ceiling. So that's your budget for the week. Once that $100 is gone, it's gone. If you overspend, you have to correct the rest of the weeks that you have left.
Right.
You automate these disbursements via digital banking tools to eliminate behavioral overspending during the first month of the term. And I'm going to add something to this. One of the things that you're going to run into when you're getting into college is there's access to two huge things that you need to take some time and understand it. Problem number one is you're getting access to credit cards. As soon as you turn 18, you can apply for a credit card. I highly recommend that if you do not have the fiscal responsibility to make sure that you don't overspend on that, or that you are going to make sure that it stays paid off, do not get one. Because they will eat you alive with the interest rates. Paying 30%, 20 to 30% more for something nobody would say is intelligent at all. If I went to Taco Bell and got a $10 meal deal and they said it was going to be $13 because I'm paying with a credit card, I would say no, I'm just not buying that.
Oh gosh, that reminds me of something I saw. This is crazy. Gosh, what was the name of this place? It was some Shake Shack. Did you hear about the Shake Shack controversy?
Oh my goodness, yes. I'm going to go on a rant about that after we get done with our 5 tips, so don't let me forget about that. But yes, I did see that, and yes, I'm going to let you break the news whenever we talk about that. But yes, I wanted to dive into that as well.
Just broke this hammer.
Oh.
I just printed it, and I just broke it.
Dang it.
It didn't...
Well, it's because the handle's a pencil.
It's because I changed the color. That's why.
Yep.
So
it just doesn't meld well.
Yeah, I'm gonna glue it. I'll glue it with super glue. It'll be fine.
Okay, so we're gonna do number 5, and then we're gonna transition into what we were just talking about there because I do want to go on a rant.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Number 5. Oh, sorry. The other thing that you get access to once you get to college. Student loans, which there has been some significant legislation passed in the past few months or so that are putting significant limits on what you can have access to from a student loan perspective. I do believe that they have put a law in place that if the student loan, if the degree, when you get a job, like the average salary of a job in that degree is not enough to afford the payments on the student loans, you will not get federal funding. I would be willing to bet I would be willing to bet a large amount of money that the price of tuition at a lot of these schools is going to start to go down over the next 10 years. Because
when did that law go into effect?
Like 3 weeks ago. It's been very recent. But yeah, it's a there's a lot of stuff going on. There was another issue where like 5 or 6 of the top student loan lending companies. I know Nelnet was one of them because I actually went and looked myself.
Looking at you, Nelnet.
Yeah, they have actually had to forgive an enormous amount of student loans because of errors in their system where interest rates were being calculated way higher than they should have been. They were doing interest only payments. There was a bunch of other stuff that they were doing that they should not have been able to do or been doing. I don't know exactly all of the details, but there was a lot of people that were able to go in and apply and have at least a significant portion, if not completely, wipe out some of their student loan debt because of the predatory practices of the finance companies. So
yeah, they can stick that in their nail nuts.
Yeah, exactly. So just be careful from a student loan perspective, because I know a lot of people get to college and they're like, oh, hey, I want to go have my own apartment and I can take out loans for that. And you end the first semester and you've taken $50,000 in student loans. By the time you're done, you've got $300,000 in loans. And then if you decide that, hey, college just isn't for me, you've got a $300,000 loan and nothing to show for it.
Right.
So just be careful, do your research, make sure that you understand your options when you're taking out these loans. Get a job. If you've got a huge scholarship, then great. But if you don't have a significant scholarship and the loans are just covering the gap for your scholarships, you need to get a job so you can earn money towards your degree. You're going to be far better off not graduating with these 6-digit loan amounts and working and doing it a little bit slower. Who cares if it takes you 5 or 6 years to get a degree? Who cares if you go to the community college to get all of your basics out of the way? You're going to pay fractions of the money going to a community college than you are for a big, university. And
things I wish I had done better when I was in college myself.
Yeah. But that's the thing,
because I used student loans to pay for my rent when I was my last couple of years.
Yep. Exactly.
I moved into an apartment and I didn't have enough of I wasn't going to be able to make those payments from the job I had. Right. So I paid for it with a loan, and then any money I made from my job just went to freaking living expenses, Right. Because Pepsi and frozen burritos don't buy themselves, so.
Exactly. Yep, I get it. And that's the thing. So many people, because of high school lacking this, as far as I'm concerned, something that should be very readily taught your senior year is a level of personal finance responsibility and understanding.
Right.
But yeah, so that's just something else to keep in mind is credit cards and student loans. Those are going to follow you around and they're going to eat you alive if you're not careful. So just do some research, make sure you know what you're getting into. And if you don't, find somebody who knows what they're talking about. Most of the time your parents are going to know. And if they don't, talk to a friend. If you have a friend
you can talk to us.
Yeah, you can talk to us. That's what we're doing here is to try to provide a good level of financial education so you know what you're doing when you get into some of these situations. So here is number 5, so we can wrap this segment up. For college seniors, optimize the total cost of graduation and pre-career liquidity. So what a lot of people don't take into consideration when you graduate is there is typically going to be some level of transition between when you graduate and when you start your first job, which hopefully by the time you're graduating college, it isn't your first job. Hopefully you've had at least a couple jobs at that point.
But first full-time,
career
salary
job. Yes,
career job
for sure.
Right.
So your strategy is going to be to minimize high friction capital expenditures associated with the final year. Graduation photos, application fees, professional licensing tests, interview attire, while hardening post-graduation debt repayment structures. So when you graduate, those loans are going to start coming due. So you got to keep that in mind as soon as you're out of school. Where's this money going to start coming from? Some of them typically have a pretty good deferment program where you can wait until you get your first job, but that's typically only going to last, between 3 and 6 months based on the ones that I've seen. And anything longer than that, it's unlikely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about what mine was.
Yeah. So here's how you execute this properly. Conduct a comprehensive audit of all remaining credit lines and student loan portfolios. Figure out what you owe or are going to owe as soon as you graduate. Yeah. Lock in fixed repayment terms or map out grace periods before graduation. Know when these grace periods start, when they end. Direct any remaining disposable income towards a dedicated transition fund to bridge the cash flow gap between final exams and the first professional paycheck, avoiding high interest revolving credit reliance. Something else that's a little asterisk here. So a lot of students, when they graduate or are in college, are on their parents' health insurance.
Yep.
Typically,
milk that.
Typically that's going to start phasing out in some form or fashion over about the next 2 or 3 years when you graduate. Because I think the average age of a graduate is like 23 years old. And so, between 24 and 26, the health insurance is going to start phasing out. If you had it through your college, because a lot of people don't know this, some colleges offer health insurance through the college. So if your parents don't have it, you can get a very, very affordable rate of health insurance through your college while you're attending there. So just keep that in mind. You can pay with a loan. Just do what?
Which you can pay.
Oh, yes, you can pay with a loan. No, you don't have to pay it with a loan. You can get a job to pay for it, but just keep that in mind. It's very good, typically affordable health insurance, and it's going to be fractions of what you're going to pay once you actually have a job. So just kind of keep that in mind.
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah, we're not diving into health insurance again. Although that was one of our most popular episodes, amazingly enough.
My dad actually watched quite a bit of the one with our interview.
Oh, really?
With and he was
Kristen.
We started talking about AI, and he's like, "Oh, now I'm interested." Like the kids, they were enjoying the funny song at the beginning, and then we started talking about AI, and they got bored. Like, "Gee, Paul, let's watch something else." He's like, "No, I want to watch this now."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so that's your top 5 things. So we'll just do a quick recap. So in kindergarten, you just make sure that you've got a activity and fee cushion for the incidentals that you're not prepared for at the beginning of the year that are going to pop up, like school pictures and stuff like that. In elementary school, start breaking things down into needs versus wants versus not yet expenses. High school, you're going to start transitioning to teaching your kids some financial responsibility. Let them be in control of their finances, at least in some capacity. They need to be able to manage their money. Number 4 is implementing a semester cash flow amortization so you can make sure that you're not overspending the money that you have. Have enough money to pay all the stuff that you need to pay. Sometimes you have testing fees and stuff like that. Just make sure you've got it all laid out so you can manage your cash during the year. And number 5 is to optimize your total cost of graduation and your pre-career liquidity. So, make sure that you've got the money as much as you need to get things set out for yourself to where you start making money, you're making loan payments on time, you're covering, credit card payments and all that stuff. I went and got a new car because I graduated. You got to make the payments on that. So just make sure that when you're going and doing all this stuff, you have an actual strategy for what you're spending money on and where you're spending money. And that should set you up financially and in your back to school endeavors. That'll help out anybody from kindergarten to graduating from college. So there's our 5 tips for this week. Speaking of tips, so Mr. Dick, I would like for I would like for you to tell me what you were about to start talking about with the Shake Shack shit show.
Okay, so holy crap, man, this is ridiculous.
Yes.
So obviously this kind of blew up online on social media and whatnot. I'm not sure where it got shared first. But this couple I saw posted a video where they were ordering something from Shake Shack, and they made their order, and they were like, okay, we get done with their order, and the next screen that comes up asks them how much tip they want to leave. Now, this is all from a kiosk, right?
Okay, that was what I was automated. Because I wasn't sure. I saw the video, but I didn't know if it was because it was somebody was taking their order and they do that I'm going to turn their screen around and ask you a couple questions. We all know that it's not a couple, it's one. It's one question, and nobody wants to answer that question with anything other than no.
No. The kiosk asks if you want to leave a tip, and they say no. And when they say no, it says, "Okay, we're basically updating your prices," and it adds like an additional 50 cents per item, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, right?
It was about a 12% increase from what I remember seeing.
I mean, if you do the math, sure, it sounds a lot worse. To me, it's not like the amount so much; it's the principle of it.
Oh, yeah. It wouldn't have mattered how much it was.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's the same for them and most everybody. Like, I didn't interact with a single person to make this order, and you want me to leave a tip for what?
Yes, exactly. That is wage supplementation that they are forcing you to do.
So
tipping is not optional when your prices update to reflect that. So, yeah, I've never
eaten tip anymore.
I've never eaten, and it was like it wasn't even like a crazy order. It was, I think it was 2
like
milkshakes
or something like that. I don't remember, but like the idea, like, okay, if we don't nip this in the bud now, like that's only going to get about 30 times worse.
You know,
like that we.
Here's my thing, because like I will be the first to admit I like going to different fast food restaurants. Taco Bell is one of my favorite places to eat. Chipotle is one of my favorite places to eat.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, the expense of dining out has gotten so ludicrous for the quality of food.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That I'm to a point, like, okay, if I go to Chick-fil-A is arguably going to be, on an 8 to 10 quality every time. It's consistent. They
usually have pretty good food. Yeah, they have pretty good food.
I think I've been to a Chick-fil-A one time in the last decade where I did not have a great experience. And it was just like, this chicken was like a little overcooked. And it was just like that has never happened before, and I would be willing to bet that it probably won't happen again for 10 years, It was still edible. It just wasn't, the normal caliber of quality that you're used to.
Well, and you're used to such a high caliber there that even something that's not like totally up to that quality, even though it's probably 10 times better than a lot of other chicken fast food joints.
Exactly.
It's not going to break the bank for you as far as I'm never coming back here.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll forgive them for the one time, because I went to McDonald's 17 times in a row and they forgot to give me all my food. And then they're asking me to give them a tip. Like, are you high?
Right. Dude,
notice that
just
now
it's gotten out of control. It's so out of control.
And here's the thing that you got to keep in mind. I don't know that I have ever been to a Chick-fil-A. In fact, I could probably order food right now on my phone where it's asked to me to tip anybody.
Yeah, no.
They pay their employees well enough that they're not going to ask for a tip. They're always polite. They say you're welcome or my pleasure or whatever else. Their restaurants are clean. They're efficient. They're fast. You can get there, and it doesn't matter if the cars are lined up around the building. You will probably be out of there in 15 minutes.
Yeah, I've gotten good service there.
If I went to a Taco Bell and it was lined up around the building, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah, as absolutely. Much as even if I was just dead set on having Taco Bell that day, if there's a line around the building, I'm leaving, because it's going to be an hour and 30 minutes before I get my food.
But like most, unless you live in a town that's small enough to only have one Taco Bell, you could probably drive 5 miles and get to another.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I live in Northwest Arkansas. Tawnytown is technically the city that we're in. And there's about 5,000 people that live in that city. It's a small town, but we're right next to the bigger 3-4 cities in Northwest Arkansas, which is Fayetteville, Springdale, Bentonville, and Rogers, which all have about 60 to 80,000 people each. So this is there's a lot of people in a very small amount of area. They're just in different cities.
Right.
So,
so you could drive to another Taco Bell.
Exactly.
Easily.
Yeah. There's another Taco Bell like 3 miles up the road from the one that I would drive away from. So it's not that big of a deal. But
yeah.
But from a principle perspective, if I pull into a fast food restaurant and it's anything other than Chick-fil-A, I'm not sitting in a line that long because it will be at least an hour before you get your food. Whereas Chick-fil-A, I don't even bat an eye. Because they're going to have that food to me by the time I pull up to the window. And it's going to be right every time. It's going to be hot. It's going to have a good flavor. It's going to have, it's not going to be soggy. None of that stuff.
There have been times where, like, I've, because they have the double lines for their drive-through where I live, at least. I don't know. They probably don't have that everywhere.
No, like, they've been doing that I believe that's the standard for all of them at this point. Right. Now, there's probably some of them that are, in the more remote locations that have not been updated at this point. But
so I'll go through the drive-through, and as I'm pulling around the building, then after making my order, like, inevitably there's often like one car like that their order is a little bit slower. Maybe they have a larger order.
Yeah.
And there's always an employee standing outside at the drive-up window and like waves you around, like, just like hands you your food, and you look at it and it says like your name and it says like the color of your car or whatever. It's like they know. Well, I have a unique colored car, so it's pretty easy for people to know when it's me.
Canary yellow.
Yeah, it's yellow. I have a yellow car. It's beautiful. Anyway,
I like the color. Like, I don't have a problem with the color.
Right. And then like I don't have to wait behind this person, getting their 20th, chicken sandwich, and I go around the outside, and like that's how they keep things going.
Right.
I watched have you ever watched any of the Fat Electrician videos?
Fat Electrician? I don't think so.
You should watch some. You have to look him up on YouTube. Fat Electrician. He does one about Chick-fil-A, and he does these little like deep dives into things. I used to watch a lot of his stuff for a while.
Oh, I have seen some of his stuff. I didn't realize that was what he was called.
Yeah, that's what he calls himself. So he does a lot of like military history stuff, but he also does other things that are more cultural in nature or like businesses. And he does one on Chick-fil-A.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if I can find it. Funny enough, I want to say the guy who did Chick-fil-A was a vet. Like he came home from, I don't remember which war, and was like, I'm going to make chicken sandwiches. And then proceeded to completely rock the world with Chick-fil-A and became insanely... maybe it's his other channel, because this one's all...
Yeah, I don't see... I was on his channel and I'm not seeing anything about Chick-fil-A, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm not looking at the right one.
Could be on his other channel. Does he have a second channel? Crazy history.
But yes, it's one of those things where it's like a great example of you're not going to get asked for a tip there. But I can tell you now, after seeing that happen at Shake Shack, which we don't have them in Northwest Arkansas, I don't know where the closest one even is. But I can tell you
never heard of it.
Yeah, I know they're pretty popular where they are. But I can tell you right now.
Not anymore.
Yeah, no kidding. I can tell you right now, if I was to go to one and that happened, I'm leaving. I'm out.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, oh, that's cool. See you later.
Yep.
Good luck with that.
Yep. So
bother me.
Yeah, that's definitely a rant-worthy discussion right there. Is like, if I want to give a tip to a fast food worker, I'll do something, but and the practice of, because we talked about it a few weeks ago, the practice of it being, the default starts on the lowest end at 18%. I'm like, okay, you turned around a screen.
Oh, yeah,
who am I tipping here?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just supplementing wages. That's not the same thing as tipping. So yeah, I'm not going to dive down the rabbit hole of.
I found it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's actually, so his other channel is called The Fat Files.
Oh, okay.
And yes, he has actually his Chick-fil-A. Why Chick-fil-A outperforms the competition.
Uh-huh. Yep, I see
capitalism done right.
Yeah, exactly. They are competitive in the perfect way because they've optimized what they do and they do it great. Because the thing is there's nothing, purely, crazy about their menu.
Yeah.
It's a chicken sandwich.
You'd really like this guy, and I think you should watch the sriracha video. I watched the sriracha video, and it was crazy.
Okay. Yeah,
I learned a lot. Literally, this guy from Vietnam, who one of the things he did when he was in Vietnam as a Vietnamese person was make hot sauce, and they literally, basically, he got on a military evacuation plane, whatever, to the U.S., got off the boat, started making hot sauce, built sriracha, and
now
but what happens after that? What happens after that is even crazier. So, I highly recommend his channel.
Okay, yeah, I'll check this out. Yeah, I had seen one of his videos. I believe it was about. It was Subway. He was talking about how they've gotten so terrible, which I don't disagree with him. But it was. I think it popped up because the algorithm heard us talking about sub sandwiches a few weeks ago, and it's like, oh yeah, here you'll like this. But yeah, so that was those are the bullet points that I wanted to talk about from that Shake Shack thing. I remembered seeing that, and I just it made me visibly angry to know that they would have a system that would screw people over that chose not to tip, like recalculating your price. That's just insane to me.
Dude, it's so insane. It's so insane because to me, it's the presumptuous, just the nature of the idea.
How dare you not pay a tip to a fast food employee?
It's like, how dare me? How dare you?
Yeah, exactly.
Pay your people. Don't
gosh. I mean, I'm not completely heartless or anything like that. I want these people to get paid, but the reality is most of these people are making a base wage that is significantly higher than minimum wage to be working at these fast food restaurants.
Well, I think that depends on which restaurant we're talking about.
I think you'd be surprised.
I do know that some of those...
I live in one of the lowest cost of living areas in the United States outside of Northwest, the region that I'm the city that I'm in. The cost of living for land is ridiculous here. It's insane how expensive land. I think the average price of land in Elm Springs, which is the next town over, is an average of $78,000 an acre.
Wow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But that being said, there's also a huge push for people to be moving here because of all the big businesses. Because Walmart's headquarters is here, Tyson's headquarters is here, and JB Hunt, which is the biggest or one of the biggest transportation companies in the United States, if not in the world, is here as well. So there's a lot of big money in Northwest Arkansas. But yeah, so I mean, in the town that I used to live in, which was called Gentry, they had signs up in the last 5 years, 6 years. Starting pay would give you a sign-on bonus for $300, and you started at $15 an hour with it, a pulse.
With a pulse.
Yeah, that was your requirements to work there, was having a pulse.
Hey, kid, you got a pulse? No? Okay, we'll pay you anyway.
Yeah, just come help us at all, and that's at McDonald's.
McAdoo.
Yeah. Yeah. So like there's no way that most of these restaurants are not paying at least close to that in this area. So, with cost of living what it is, like I think that they're paying pretty good wages. $15 an hour is not amazing, but it's also not bad. And especially considering that most of these fast food jobs and stuff like that are considered to be entry-level jobs anyway.
Mhm.
This is not a career. We don't need career fry cooks.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing too. Like, too many people now are trying to work in some of these jobs as a career instead of, oh, I don't know, doing anything else.
Yeah. Well, it's the manual labor stuff, which is what used to be. You go do manual labor. Well, now they don't want to do that. But it's even worse because they're not wanting to do the restaurant work anymore either because so many people are like, oh, that's beneath me. And that's always a funny mentality about fast food work. Like, oh, that's beneath me. Why is that beneath you? Like you're 15.
Yeah.
It's a job.
Well, right. And I think I wonder if part of it is that they see these adults who have done nothing with their lives working these jobs and they go,
true.
That's not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they say, why should I do this job?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with you there.
Oof.
Yeah. Who knows? So anyway, well, I could rant for days about wages and
we know
stuff like that, but we're going to transition to the next topic, which is something that I need to let you see if you can find this movie to watch because this is going to be our review segment for this week.
Nice.
So I watched a new movie.
Oh, a new movie
called what is it called? Ladies First?
I'm sorry, what?
Since
when?
Hang on, let me find it.
Is this in the theaters?
No, it is on Netflix.
Government?
Okay.
Sacha Baron Cohen?
Yes.
Oh, it has Rosamund Pike.
Okay,
I liked her.
So yes, it is a comedy.
Okay,
but it's one of those where it hits so close to reality that it becomes more of like a satire.
Yeah.
So for those of you who have never heard of this film, it's got Sacha Baron Cohen. Is that it?
Cohen.
He is a advertising executive.
Mm-hmm.
At this pretty good, I think the company has a big contract with Guinness, alcohol.
Yeah.
And so the premise of the film is that he is this male chauvinist asshole kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's trying to point out how horrible it is for him to be this male chauvinist asshole. So he throughout the sequence of events that kind of transpires at the beginning, a female employee gets a promotion to be on his team, and she thinks she's gonna, break the mold and change everything about this firm that he's at. Which, as a man who has a brainstem, this guy is a douche. He is not somebody that I would aspire to be like in any capacity. He is not polite. He is obnoxious. He's arrogant. He talks down to people, and he looks down on people in certain positions. There's nothing about him that I would aspire as things that you want to be as a man. So they go do this pitch meeting, and she tries to pitch something because they're trying to figure out a marketing concept to pitch to Guinness to try to get females to be more interested in buying their product. And they come up with this, very chauvinistic, obviously chauvinistic, sex appeal with, girls, scantily clad, drinking alcohol and all this other stuff. And, he's ranting and raving about how it's the best idea he's ever had. And the woman is like, yeah, this is very obviously a horrible idea. They have an argument. He ends up chasing her out of the building, trying to get her to to finish the argument, essentially. He trips and hits his head. And when he wakes up, the world is all topsy-turvy, and women are in charge, so to speak, of everything. So the world that is, basically dominated by males, according to the majority of, whatever, is now dominated by women. They're in the top positions at every firm. It's no longer Burger King, it's Burger Queen. All sex appeal advertising is now using men instead of women. Anyway, it's just fascinating from a perspective of, as you watch through the movie, it was a little bit too nail on the head kind of thing, where it was like, okay, I see what you're going for here, but it almost was like, yeah, but that's not the way that it really is. And I just thought it was fascinating from a perspective of, like, he hits his head, and the goal of the movie, the goal of him, him to, because he meets this guy that's like his spirit guide to help him get back to the real world, which is the one where he was, getting promoted and all this other stuff. He's supposed to have a change of heart, and he has to work his way to the top of a female-dominated world. And so he has to jump through all the hoops and figure out how to do the things that in a way that a woman would normally have to do in the real world. And it just turns out to be a comical representation of what women do versus what men want them to do. Because when they reverse it and put the shoe on the other foot, it's just, it's like, well, yeah, but men never ask you to do that. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, yeah, like, well, I have to do this beautification ritual every morning that I take, an hour and 45 minutes to straighten my hair and to do my makeup and to do this. And I have to run at the gym for 12 and a half hours so I can stay in a size 2. And it's stuff like, okay, yeah, there's probably some men that thought you should do that back in the 60s, but this is not the 60s anymore. And the reality is even if they had thought that, I would say probably the vast majority of men don't think that way. And so it's just funny seeing, like, it's like this is what we think men think.
Yeah.
And it's not. I can say very definitively that, I'm going to use my wife as an example. I typically prefer her to not have her to the nines makeup on. Now, when she wants to get dressed up, if we're going to have a nice anniversary dinner or something like that, and she wants to get all dressed up and do the makeup to the nines and all that stuff, I like it. She, I think she's attractive and all that stuff. But if I was to pick, like if she was to say, okay, I'm going to wear exactly what you want me to wear, and I'm going to, wear makeup exactly how you want. It would be simple, just a little eyeliner and keep, maybe a little bit of like lip gloss or like a light shade of lipstick, but like don't go all out. I don't need you, going, spending 45 minutes to get all this stuff ready. And wear a comfortable outfit,
Mm-hmm.
I would rather you go with me to a restaurant and order something that you enjoy eating than be like, oh yeah, I have to order a salad because if I don't have a salad, you're going to think less of me, which I don't. And you're going to, I'm going to gain all this weight and you're going to be repulsed by me, which, that's just, I don't feel like the majority of men. So, as if you're a man watching this and you think I'm wrong, let me know, because maybe I am wrong. Maybe there's more men than I realize that actually think that way. But I don't think that's the way that it really is. I think the vast majority of this, mindset that's kind of developed around what females should and shouldn't do professionally and in relationships and stuff like that stems from other females and the perception of those females, more so than it does from the men that are part of the equation. So,
I'm on Rotten Tomatoes, and while I was listening to you, I was watching the trailer.
Oh yeah.
It played, and I was like, this is like, okay, first of all, I get what they're trying to say, but like, I disagree with the idea that if men and women switched roles, that everything would stay exactly the same, except that men would be in the positions that women are.
Oh yes, no, 100%. That was the biggest thing that jumped out at me, and that was actually what I was going to bring up next. Because
that's such a stupid take.
Oh yeah,
like it is such a stupid take that I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say.
That's the thing. So I'm going to use a bricklayer as an example.
Yeah.
If you're a brick mason, there is an incredibly high, that's a skilled job. It's difficult to do well. Now, I would argue that, probably a lot of people could do it with practice, but it is difficult. It's going to take a lot of practice. That job field is dominated, I believe it's around 98% male. Are you telling me that if, the world reverses and the North and South Pole shifted and women are in charge like men are supposedly in charge right now, that it's going to be 98% women in bricklaying? I would bet you any comical. I would go take out every loan I could and place it all on the opposing that they would stay in that position. If they were in that job, they would stop that job almost immediately. I would guarantee it. Women typically tend to gravitate towards nurturing and caring positions, teachers, nurses, things like that. We're not forcing them to. They're going that direction because that is the way that they are biologically designed to go. That's why there's also the conflict between parents as a father and a mother. The dad wants to be the authority figure and the mom wants to nurture. Well, if the mom is going overboard with the nurturing, you have a spoiled little brat. But if the dad is going overboard with the authoritarian figure, then you've got a browbeat to death child that's probably going to shoot up his school because he's never been given any level of control in his life. So there's a reason that that we, as biological beings, are designed the way that we are, from the perspective of it takes two. You got to get both sides of the coin to get some balance in your life. You can't have one without the other, or the one goes to the extreme and it makes the other one nuts. So anyway, but yeah, like it's like you were saying. Go ahead.
Right. I was just gonna say I was I'm on Rotten Tomatoes still, and this review really stuck out to me. As a guy who wrote this 1-star review, I loved the premise of the film. However, this quickly evaporated in about 15 minutes in.
Mm-hmm.
In essence, it's a Christmas Carol story concerning sexism.
Yeah.
Trouble is, he bumps his head, and now, when in the alt world where women are on top, the film chose to give women male characteristics and vice versa. I think this would have been so much more interesting to see women on top showing exaggerated womanness, not having the amazing female cast cosplay as horny men.
Yes, that is yes. I didn't think about it in that way, but hearing that said, that's 100% what I would agree with, because it really did. It was like, okay, I don't know of any woman who would ever act like that, and even more so, like it's like you were saying, they're women cosplaying as a horny male,
as horny men.
If a female was to do that to a male, I guarantee you he ain't going to be complaining.
Right.
You can't, like, if I'm walking down the street and there's a bunch of construction workers that are female and they cat call at me and say how handsome I look, I'm going to be smiling ear to ear until I get home and probably until I pass out that night. And maybe for a few days after that.
Absolutely. The last part of this there's another one here, and it's a half star. It's not even a full 1 star. It's a half star.
I love that.
He's a Gen Z male, and he says he loves Sacha Baron Cohen movies because they always make him laugh. But he said this one just wasn't funny.
No, it's not funny. Like it's one of those like, huh. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what he said. And he said, so at the end of his review, he says, I don't blame Sacha Baron Cohen. When I saw who wrote it and produced it, I immediately understood why it wasn't even remotely funny, which may ironically be the most funny part of the whole thing.
Was it?
It's written and produced by a bunch of women. Written, produced, and directed.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Director Thea Shermick. Producer Lisa Chazen, Eleanor Daly, and Edouard de la Chaumet.
Oh my goodness!
Screenwriter Natalie Krinsky and Katie Silberman. It's like okay. Yeah. No, it's just like watching the little preview there, like. Yeah, apparently this is a remake of a French film.
Oh, okay.
As well, which I'm not surprised the French wrote something stupid like this, to be honest. It just seems like...
And I agree with that guy, like, from a perspective of why in the world, if you were doing the authoritarian switch deal... where, the women are in charge, why would you not make the world more feminine? Yeah.
More woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If women are the ones that are the dominant sex, so to speak, then why wouldn't you make it more dominant on the female part? Yeah, it just they just turn them into men that are, in women's clothing.
Boobs. Yeah, exactly. Men with boobs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But what was weird is they tried to make the men still act like, kind of like it's like a browbeat man. Is kind of how they made them the act. It's like, okay, I just keep my mouth shut when I get home because my wife won't stop yelling at me, kind of thing.
Stop talking about my life.
Oh,
just kidding.
Yeah. Oh man. Anyway, so that I just wanted to talk about that because I thought that was a very comical experience to talk about or to watch this movie that was supposed to be
comical and not the way that was intended.
No, it was not funny. The movie was not entertainingly funny. It was not a Dumb and Dumber or Borat experience. It was that's like. Yeah, it's funny that you think that's the way that it would be,
Right.
So, anyway. So, that brings us to our final segment of today's podcast, which is our Going Deep segment.
Going deep with Dick.
So what have you got for us today, Mr. Dick?
Going deep with Dick.
Deep with Dick.
So I have a problem like every few months. And no, it's not one I need to see a doctor for.
Magnesium.
Thanks, I'll look into that. So I sit in an office behind a computer screen all day long, every day. And I'll be honest, sometimes when I get outside, I just don't want to be inside anymore.
Oh, yep. Well, you don't have the weather up there in the lovely state of Nebraska that we do down here in
It's
Arkansas.
not that much better. It's not that much better.
I don't know what was the high this week for you?
So it's supposed to. I think we had a feels like 104 day this week.
That's pretty warm.
Yeah. Anyway, that's not the point of what I'm getting at here.
Yeah. Want to be outside? Go.
I want to be outside. I want to get out of the concrete jungle. Which is funny saying that because I live in a Midwestern state.
Yeah.
I learned several years ago that I have several times a year, usually about the changing of the seasons. Like when we get into spring and like the weather gets, warmer and whatnot, but it's not like
you get
hell.
Itch.
Summer.
Yeah.
And when it starts to cool off and, it gets to God's season of the year, the most glorious season of all, autumn, fall, whatever you want to call it.
Yep. Yeah, fall is my favorite season too.
Yeah, I love it.
I
get
fall.
hit.
I love end of fall.
End of fall. Interesting. Like right before winter starts?
Yep.
Huh.
Yep.
When does that hit for you?
Typically like middle of October to end of November.
Huh.
But that's because down here it gets like, 50 degrees and like if I could choose, I would rather it be 50 degrees than 90 degrees any day.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'd rather it be 20 degrees than 90 degrees any day.
I'd rather it be negative 20 degrees than 90
yeah,
degrees.
I don't deal with the whole negative crap.
You want to go there?
That's why I live in the South.
Womp. Yeah. Anyway, I would definitely deal with it. Absolutely. So, all right. So,
I mean, if I had to choose one or the other, I would definitely choose negative 20 over 100. But
fair. So,
but anyway, transition of seasons.
The term for my condition that I get at least twice, if not more, times a year is called wanderlust.
Are you trans? Transitioning.
I'm trying to transition. Yeah. Yes.
I'm pro-trans.
I am transitioning
of weather
to not
transitioning
summer,
of the
basically.
Seasons.
The closer we get to summer, the more grumpy I get, to be honest.
I'm a seasonal trans.
So, wanderlust. Wanderlust is the term. Are you probably familiar with it?
I've heard the term. I don't.
Yeah. No, it's defined as a very strong or irresistible impulse to travel.
Oh yeah.
And this hits me all the time, and I'm like, man, what am I doing in an office? Like, I want to go up to the mountains. I want to go out to the forest. I want to go to a lake. I want to be
of the land.
Yeah, absolutely. And I spend, you know how much of my time I spend watching outdoor YouTube channels, guys who are out there like.
Yes, I saw your history when I was there because you showed me some YouTube videos. I was like, this is a lot of the Outdoor Boys is like one of your favorite channels.
I mean, it was, but then he quit. So
man, yeah, no, I would love to talk to him because his content was so interesting. Because it's like the concept is so basic,
Yeah, no,
but like
it's just
you
him being
start
real,
watching him, it's
honestly.
like I don't know how I've watched this for an hour.
Yeah,
Like
no,
what just happened? This guy is making biscuits in ashes,
mm-hmm.
and I'm sitting there like, yeah, I would love to do that. And I don't know if that's just one of these, Call of the Wild kind of thing, like you're talking about. But yeah, it's just it just scratches an itch that you never know you have.
Well, I definitely get that itch. I get that itch a lot, and it does start to consume me sometimes, and like I just like I can't. I don't want to, I don't want to sit at the desk. I don't want to be inside. I don't want to work anymore. I just want to do this other thing. And it kind of sucks because I've realized what it is, and what it's become for me is, especially with YouTube. Well, I think wanderlust in and of itself not a bad thing. In fact, I think it can be a very healthy thing because it gives you the opportunity. Like if you actually follow through,
right?
And be like, yeah, let's go someplace, let's do something. It gives you a break from the mundane and normal of your life, which I think is important. But I'm getting to a point where I feel like I'm almost getting consumed with it too much. That it has gone from something that is an occasional hobby, like thing, or just like as a break from the normal, and it's becoming a escape from reality for me. And the danger with that is when we start spending more time trying to escape from our reality, we can't live in reality anymore.
Yeah.
And this obviously for me, it happens with the desire to be out in nature and travel and see new places and all that stuff. But it's pretty common, and it happens with all kinds of things. For everyone has their thing.
Yeah,
I think
it's interesting to me that you say that, because one of the things because we've known each other for coming up on 20 years now, I think, and it's interesting to me with what I know about you, and then knowing what kind of car you drive. If like, it's so funny to me because like if I was to just like, if I never knew what kind of car you had, and I was just going off of like, okay, write down the characteristics and personality and all that stuff about Ricky. what kind of vehicle would I imagine him driving? I would like this is legitimately what I would say. I would say you would be the kind of person that I would think would have a Toyota Tacoma.
Well, we used to. My wife and I used to have one.
Or not the Tacoma, or a Nissan Xterra, or something like that. Those. That is an off-road capable vehicle.
Yep.
With the tent built on top of it. That is the collapsible like bed and all that stuff.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
With a ladder that you climb up. Like I could very easily see you. That would be a vehicle that's like that. Yeah, that's a Ricky vehicle.
So that's entirely
so driving
true.
An Audi, Quattro?
No, I have an S4.
Oh, S4. Yeah. Okay. And yeah.
But
so like it's just like a polar opposite of what I would expect you to be driving,
right?
Based on your personality.
When we first got married, though, we had, or my wife actually was the one that bought it right before we got married, bought a Tacoma, and we got a camper shell for it, and I built a sleeping platform with like pull-out shelves in the bed. So we did actually, like, she put together a mattress for it, and blinds, not blinds, but like curtains for the windows. And we went camp. I mean, it was amazing because it's like, and of course this is before children.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We could just be like, hey, let's go somewhere this weekend and throw some food in, and maybe a couple of things of gear that we needed, but a lot of our gear just lived in it.
Yeah.
And that was our big thing. And we had kids, and we had to get rid of the Tacoma.
Yeah.
Because
sad,
it was the
sad Dick.
sad Dick. It was the access cab, so it wasn't the full double cab.
Yes.
And that's important because
it really does make a big difference.
It makes a big difference because the double, like the dual cab, has a 5-foot bed, and I'm not tall, but I'm 5'8".
Yeah, that's
in
your
fact,
feet are hanging off the end there.
Both my wife and I are 5'8".
Yeah.
So we could not have slept in that thing if it had the double cab.
Yeah.
So it had the access cab with like the suicide door, and that made it so that we were able to have a 6-foot bed, so we could sleep back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got you.
And that was our go-to for a long time. We loved that thing.
Yeah.
And now it's one of my biggest regrets is getting rid of it. Not that it really could have been helped, because we needed the space for having 2 car seats. But my car, which I know you say like it seems so ridiculous, I like to drive, and I like the sensation of driving and driving fast. So different aspects of me, yes, that car absolutely fits me. I love I love the sound it makes, the engine. It sounds so good.
Yeah.
And the enjoyment of going through the gears on it and everything. But like it wasn't, even though it's 4-door, it's not a really great family car.
So I don't know if you know this, but you can get Tacomas with a double cab and a 6-foot bed. They have them.
Yeah. How much extra are they?
I have no idea. I don't know if it's brand new. From what this is saying, it sounds like it's and that's one of my things. So like for me personally, I actually, if I was going to get a truck, I would lean, like from a practicality standpoint, I would actually rather have a Tacoma than I would a Tundra. But the problem is that I'm 6 foot tall, and my dad had a Dodge Ram 1500 quad cab. So it's not the crew cab, it's the 4-door, but it's got the shorter back seat. I was probably in my 20s whenever he got that truck. So being an adult in that back seat, hated that truck because it was so small. I was so crammed back there that it was so uncomfortable. And so I would go, like I've gone and looked at, a Tacoma or like a Nissan Frontier or a Ford Ranger or even the Mavericks. I like
Ford Ranger.
I like the smaller truck because it's like I don't do any big hauling. Every once in a while we'll go to Lowe's and get some plants and stuff like that. But I don't need a 1-ton truck by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
But I can't do it from a practicality standpoint because it's like, especially a lot of the Tundras, which is, if I wanted to get one, I would definitely be in the Toyota camp. I've got my kids in the back seat and their knees are in my back.
Yeah.
Because I have to sit back so far. And so it's like, that's just not realistic, which is insane because I have a sedan. I have my Kia K5, and it has so much more leg room in the back with my seat all the way back where I normally sit for the kids than a car, than any of these trucks that are on the mid-sized category are even able to do. So it's, I totally get what you're saying there from a practicality standpoint.
Yep. So I guess like my whole point about this is like, it's important to have a release from the normal and to go out and do things, but letting it consume you gets dangerous. And believe me, like at some point in my life, I fully intend to, say fuck you to the city and get the hell out and live somewhere on my own property of many, 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 many acres.
Yeah.
And if I'm still able at that point, I will work and build my own stuff, as well as I'm able, and I will enjoy every single second. And if I don't play another video game or see another Netflix show, I won't even care.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in the meantime,
I get it. I'm getting there. Like
I got responsibilities with the kids and the family, and unfortunately, I just feel like this is the best thing that I can do to make sure they get the right education and upbringing and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
And eventually we'll get back there. Yeah. So,
I mean, I totally understand what you're saying from that perspective, because like I can relate from there's a shift that's happened with me in the last, 5 or 6 years.
Welcome.
Which I don't know if it's because of my kids specifically, or if it's just because of the point I'm at in my life. But I've definitely noticed that like the escapism that was kind of my normal for a lot of my 20s is like it's just not really appealing to me anymore. We've talked about it in the past, a couple different hobbies and things like that. I played a lot of video games and computer games and stuff like that during my early life and even well into my 20s. But it's almost like in the past 5 years or so, it's like pulling teeth for me to sit down and I don't know if it's because the games that are being made now are not what I like.
Let's not get started on that.
Which, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. We don't have 12 and a half hours to talk. But
seriously.
I don't know if it's because the games that I like are just not being made anymore, or if it's because the appeal's not there. I think it's probably some kind of combination of things, because I've seen, a handful of trailers for games that are supposed to be coming out in the next year or two that I'm actually marginally excited for. To dive into our what are we looking forward to segment, which I almost forgot about until we were just talking about this, but I am legitimately excited. They're supposed to be making a Legend of Zelda 64, the Ocarina of Time.
I heard about that. That's going to be sick.
They're supposed to be doing a remake for that. That's supposed to be coming out, I think.
Now, is it a remake like how they remade Final Fantasy VII lately, or a remake?
I don't think so. I do believe they're going to have to do some level of updates to it, because I don't know.
Obviously,
I don't know if you have the Nintendo Retro subscription where you can go back and play like Nintendo and Super Nintendo and N64. Yeah, so if you go play the original, like if you play that on your Switch,
but it's painful.
It is almost unplayable because the controls don't work.
Right. No, I played. I picked up several years ago the Witcher trilogy, and the Witcher 1 was so tough.
Oh yeah, it's
not because of the game difficulty, but just the mechanics have moved on so much since then. So I get what you're saying. I played Ocarina of Time when they had it. They re-released it on the Cube, and I played it there, and it wasn't so bad. But we weren't that far removed from the 64.
Yeah, but the Nintendo 64 control setup, and then converting that to a modern day Nintendo Switch controller, it just does not translate. The gameplay is not. So they're going to have to do something to make that a more modernized control scheme. But I don't know what has really been released at this point. I do believe that they have given a release date.
Excuse me.
Well, it would help if I did Zelda 64 and not Zelda 65.
That would be pretty sweet, though.
Okay, so it's actually scheduled for the end of this year.
Oh, that's exciting.
I would be expecting a Thanksgiving to Christmas release based on what I've seen. I've heard rumors that they're speculating mid-November. Amazingly enough, I guess they're going to try to compete with Grand Theft Auto 6, which is supposed to be like $190 or something like that.
Bro. Stupid.
Yeah. But it's supposed to be like literally the greatest game that's ever been made or ever will be made. So, it is what it is.
GTA 6?
Yeah.
I have never played a GTA game in my life, and I'm not about to start.
So I have played Grand Theft Auto Vice City, which was on the PlayStation 2. That is the last foray into the experience that I needed, and I'm okay with that.
All right.
Yeah, but yeah. So like I'm genuinely looking forward to that.
Sure.
That coming out, and I'll probably play it. But it's one of those things where it's like now Mario Kart World came out for the Nintendo Switch. I was excited about that game because my kids want to play that game. And I'm like, yeah,
I played it for quite a while.
Yeah, I would love to play that game with my kids, and they love to play that game. And so like that's the kind of experience that I'm like, okay, is this something that I can experience with my kids? That's what's a motivating factor for me at this point.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to is being able to play Zelda, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time
Dude,
with my kids,
I mean, to be honest, like they just need to give it the Breath of the Wild treatment because it kind of was an open world game like Breath of the Wild anyway.
I think there's a lot of good that came with Breath of the Wild. I would hate it if they did the weapon destruction system the way they did.
Well, I'm not saying they should do that.
Well, yeah, but that was just like if I had to say one gripe about Breath of the Wild, which I love Breath of the Wild. I think it's an excellent game. I do think it's a contender for one of the greatest games of all time, easily in the top 10. If it was not for the weapon breaking mechanics in the game, I would argue that it is a perfect game.
Josh says actually he thinks that Tears of the Kingdom was even better than Breath of the Wild.
See, I've not,
but I've not played it.
Yeah, I have it. I have not beaten it. I put about 15 hours into it when it first came out. The problem I have with Tears of the Kingdom is I think for me personally, it was a too much of a good thing situation. I feel like the sub weapons in Breath of the Wild were so well balanced and designed, from how you interact with enemies, how you interact with the world around you, all of that stuff, that it was great, but not too complex. And I feel like the Tears of the Kingdom, it almost was like it was so good that you didn't want to play the game. You just wanted to build crap. It's like, oh, I just designed a flying machine. Okay, well, where's the boss of the game? I don't even know. I spent 9.5 hours building this plane. You know what I mean? It's like the gameplay became the mechanics, not the game.
Right. I got you. So I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom yet, so no spoilers.
Yeah, I couldn't give you any spoilers if I wanted to.
Oh,
I mean, like but the interactions is largely the same as like how it was in Breath of the Wild, where you got like your little tool tablet thing. It has the bombs and your magnetism,
right.
The time stop and all that stuff. It works largely the same, but the only thing they added is there's this like, I call it a battery mechanic, where you can put energy into different pieces of different things and build a car or a tank or a plane or whatever else. And
it's pretty cool.
It was cool from a concept, but the problem is it was like, this was too much freedom. or too much of a good thing that it took away from the game because you're like, I don't care to do anything else. I just want to build my little machines over here, you know?
Right. No, I get that. That was like Subnautica for me because after a while, like all I want to do was
build a
base and not finish the game.
Yeah. Which, in fairness, that's 100% a reasonable thought process, is because the base was the safe part. You know, you build the base.
Exactly.
You don't have to go down and stick your face in a ghost leviathan,
in a reaper,
or a reaper, just crap your pants because you're playing games. It's the most terrifying game of all time.
Holy crap! Yes, I built a base at the ghost tree, where the baby the ghost leviathans come from. Yeah,
or the ghost. Yeah.
I built a base there. That one was.
I tried to build a base everywhere so that I was always safe, but. There was always limits on the amount of assets that you could get in the in the game. So I only had I think I had 7, but the bases that I built were like huge.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, that's what I'm looking forward to. So what about you, Mr. Dick? What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to fall.
Actually, that's a good one. I'm looking forward to fall as well. It is supposed to be 101 degrees on Tuesday, I think, this next week.
Yikes.
And I am not looking forward to that at all. Yeah, I'm also looking forward to my wife's leg feeling better. So
yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to fall, and I'm actually honestly like at this point I'm looking forward to winter. Just get me out of this heat, man.
No kidding.
It rained this morning. We had a thunderstorm this morning, and didn't really seem to affect the temperature very much at all, which was really disappointing because often that will drive the temperature down.
Yes.
Usually those thunderstorms come because of a cold front, and didn't make a dang bit of difference.
Apparently, I was wrong. It was 103 today. It's supposed to be 102 tomorrow, 101 on Saturday. Is
that like base or feels like?
You
know what I mean?
That's what I'm trying to find.
We're supposed to get some thunderstorms possibly again tonight.
Supposed to feel like. Yeah, it's supposed to be 100 on the high tomorrow, and feel like 107.
Yikes!
At about 3:00.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, no fun. So we will be apparently going to the pool as soon as my kids get home from school tomorrow.
Hey, you want to hear something? Kind of depressing, but cool.
Sure.
Oh, hey, it's only 77 here right now. Wow, I didn't even know.
It is. What is it right now?
I was going to look for
87 here right now. I really do hope it rains on Sunday because we have had a rough past few weeks. Like there's 7 counties in Arkansas that are on strict water restrictions because of how hot and the lack of rain that we've gotten.
Jeez.
Yeah. So anyway, well, that is the show for us for this week. So thanks everybody for stopping by, and we will catch you next week. So, I was thinking about this the other day, and I came up with a new catchphrase for us to wrap up with. It was
you got a catchphrase?
It actually was this is a good one, and I completely I had a brain fart, and I can't remember what it was now.
Nice. Well, it must not have been important then.
Yeah, I'll remember it. I'm sure tomorrow or something like that. But
you're gonna wake up in the middle of the night and be like, catchphrase.
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, Remember, everybody, today is another day, so go out there and...
Catchphrase! I mean, make it a great one. I screwed that up, didn't I?
Oh, man.